Hello YouTube, and as promised, Season 2 World Tour and Download. This is a pretty big save, so I might have to speed this one up a little bit, but again, this is going up for download and you can check it out by joining the Discord and downloading the world for yourself. So let's get to it. First place we start is the hub, and in the hub this season we dragged all the materials to the hub, which would be distributed along a bus that runs through the city. Now in the hub we can control all the power from this location here. There are switches down both sides and one at the end for the main power, and these control all the facilities within the city. On the other side we have a little car park area with the cars in it, refueling station, and from the hub you can drive anywhere in the city. You can drive from anywhere to anywhere or walk anywhere to anywhere in this city. Just down the bottom here we have all the train platforms. This is where all the materials come in, all loaded in by train. They gather materials from around the world, drop them off here, where they are processed just downstairs. So downstairs we have this corridor, and as you come through the doors you can see all the materials being organised and sent to the front and centre, where there's a huge bus that runs everything down to the main bus that runs through the city. There are other little places within this build, like the power area, which we won't go into too much detail, but I will let you explore. Just out the back of the hub we have our first power station, which is called generators. I think I went overboard with the aesthetics on this build and not enough thought process behind how much power I needed, because very quickly we needed to move on to a next power station. I wanted to go something different with this one, so I did it in like an X shape, and I think it turned out alright. So moving on, we're going to go around the front of the hub, where you can see the window, which is just behind where you spawn in, and the bus coming out of the bottom, ready to deliver all those materials around the city. So our first major stop is going to be the power station. This was done early on as I realised I didn't make enough power for the rest of the city, so I built this one. In here we're producing plastic and rubber on both sides. There are 4 rooms doing this. This produces all the heavy oil residue that we need to turn into fuel. The heavy oil residue then makes it to the fuel room, where you can see it's all being turned into canned fuel. And then we come into the main building where all the fuel is being made. So you can see here all the fuel cans coming in, and they go down the line feeding all these machines to unload the fuel through the pipes in the back. Those fuel canisters are then recycled around to make water bottles, which are then shipped out on the other side from where the fuel comes in. As you can see, this building is huge and there is a lot of places to explore, but I'll leave that to you guys. Once all that fuel's unpackaged, it then comes out into this yard where all the generators are. So now that we have fuel sorted, we moved on to the copper plant. And this is where all the copper materials are made. There's actually 2 buildings, one purely for smelting all the ingots down, and then another building for making all the parts. Here in building 1 you can see the many smelters we have just for the copper, and that's on 2 floors. The ingots are then belted across this runway into this building. And then in this room you can see all the parts on the back wall that are being produced. So we have our wire, our cable and our sheeting. In each side you can see the machines that produce these materials, and there's an access through the back that takes you to the other side of the building. And like I said earlier, you can walk or drive anywhere in the city. This is the car park for that building. And just between the copper plant and the power station, we have our little or fuel station, which is putting coal in the cars so they can drive around. Once copper was done, we moved on to the tower for making iron stuff. Inside the tower you can see where all the iron ingots are being made on the first and second floor. There are elevators to take you up and down. And the further up the tower you go, the more parts you can see being made. And looking down from the top you can see just how tightly packed all this was, as I built the tower first and tried to build the factory inside. From there we moved on to our little concrete factory, where once again we have a car park underneath, and the inside was built with aesthetics in mind. So it's not as practical as one would hope, but it does look pretty cool. Here at the front you can see where all the concrete comes out and the road underneath. And there's also a road that runs right through the building on the way to the steel factory where we're going now. Again, a little car park outside the factory before you go in. Once inside, you met with this little hallway and waiting area. To the right here, we have the steel smelting. And you can see all the raw materials coming in through the center. And on the outside, you can see the ingots coming out. Coming down the corridor, you can see all the steel ingots being fed underneath this walkway and then up to the next floor. Once you come up to the second floor, you can see them come under the floor here and work their way around this big machine in the middle. And in this center bit here, this is where we make our steel pipes and steel beams. Again, the building was done with aesthetics in mind. So next up is the Psycholics building. This one took some time to build. It was designed to be like a mall with a crossroads running through it. In here we're making all the rotors, stators and motors. There are a lot of little places to explore inside this building. A lot of interesting areas to look around. From there we moved on to this area here where we make computers and started to make aluminium sheeting. However, the aluminium sheeting factory never really made it to the end. This building here is for the circuit boards, which are all being made on 2 floors. This building is very colourful, it's very open to the elements as well. Once again, there's a lot of little places to explore and have a look around. Going across the bridge, we have another building where we're dedicated making computers. So we have the car park at the top once again. And then inside this building, this is where we make the computers, which are fed under the floor and back to the bus. And then there's the unfinished aluminium factory, which has some interesting things about it too, but I will let you all explore that with the download. There are some other interesting points to look at with some of the locations where we're collecting items. Some of the outposts have been decorated. Some of them was a work in progress. And some of them just not finished. So guys, I know that was short and sweet, but there is a lot to explore. I'd just rather let you explore it yourselves. And a video covering everything in here would just take forever. So once again, thanks for watching. And if you want the download, it is in the Discord. Link is in the description bottom. And if you want these maps much sooner than they're coming out, then you can consider joining Patreon, because they get the maps straight away. So that's it from me, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye bye.